Hi class, I wanted to give you guys a little 3.3 reinforcement because there are some concepts that we still need a little work on. So let's talk about the first one now. First and foremost, whenever you have a number directly next to a variable, this means that number times or multiplied by the variable. So 3n is the same thing as 3 times n. 5x is the same thing as 5 times x. 10 times b equals 10b. Okay? So, I want you to try these 3 problems. Try these problems. Pause the video here and see if you can get the correct answers. When you come back and press play, I will reveal what the answers are and you can check to see if you're on the right track. Pause the video now. You should have written that 6x is the same thing as 6 times x. Negative 2 times x is the same thing as negative 2x. And 12c is the same thing as 12 times c. Alright, this is the first concept. Let's address the next concept now. Whenever you have a number or variable next to something in parentheses, this also means to multiply. So 2 parentheses 3 is the same thing as 2 times 3, which is the same thing as 6. Okay? For example, if I had x parentheses, sorry, these are bullet points here. If I had x parentheses 2, then this is going to be the same thing as x times 2, but I would make sure to write that 2x. The reason why is because whenever I am writing a number and a variable together, the number always comes before the variable. So I would never write this x2, I would write it 2x. Okay? Now, this is basically giving us a little glimpse of the distributive property. I know that if I have 2 times x plus 3, then that means I'm going to have to multiply 2 times that x, and I'm going to have to multiply 2 times 3. So that would essentially give me 2x, bring it over my plus, what's 2 times 3? Is 6. Now, before we move further, I do want to say this. I cannot combine this and this together. The reason why is because this situation has a variable. This situation does not. So I cannot go adding together numbers that don't have variables with numbers that do have variables. Okay? So, once again, this would be my final answer. Now we're getting ready to let you try 2 more distributive problems. Try these 2 problems on your own, and when you have tried them, I want you to come back to this video, press play, and I will reveal the answers. Pause the video now to solve. Okay, for your final answers, you should have gotten that 6 beside the parentheses 1 is the same thing as 6 times 1, which is the same thing as 6. And 3 parentheses c plus 5 is the same thing as you're saying 3 times c plus 3 times 5. 3 times c is 3c plus 3 times 5 is 15. I cannot simplify this any further, so this is going to be my final answer. Alright, last thing I'm going to do is kind of re-explain how we would go about solving or simplifying this linear expression. The first thing I notice is that I do have numbers and variables. But the very first thing that I need to do is to distribute. I'm going to come a little closer so you can see. I'm going to need to distribute that 3 because it is right beside some parentheses. Please note, I cannot go and mix this 3 up with this 2 over here because it has not yet been properly distributed. I also cannot mix this x up with this x because it's still in parentheses and it has not been distributed. So whenever you see a situation like this and you see a place where you can apply the distributive property. That comes first. So let's go ahead and solve. This is the same thing as 3 times x, which is 3x. I'm going to bring that down. Bring down my plus. 3 times 5 is 15. And then I'm going to bring down everything else that's around it. Now that I have broken that apart, I can now go about solving the rest of my problem. So, I have my x's here. I have x plus 3x. And remember what I told you in the notes video. Sidebar. If there's a variable that is by itself, it is assumed that there is a 1 in front of that variable. So, x sitting by itself is the same thing as 1x. Okay? C written by itself is 1c. So, with that being said, back to the problem. I have x plus 3x. That means 1x plus 3x. That's going to give me 4x plus 15 minus 2 is going to give me 13. And this is where the problem stops, y'all. I cannot combine or add these because this doesn't have a variable and this does. So there's no way that I can just mix these two. The expression is simplified to its fullest extent. Okay? I hope that this reinforcement video kind of helps guide your thought process on some of these problems. So keep working and we'll see you in the next one.